How long can a supposedly good man sit on a secret before it starts to rot every single thing he loves? Seriously, just think about that for a second. We all like to think that we would do the right thing if the stakes were high enough. But right now, Tyrone Dobbs is proving that even the nicest guys on the street have a breaking point when their own lives are on the line. You have to wonder, was his silence on that crazy night just a simple mistake? Was it born of pure, unadulterated panic? Or is there something much deeper and much darker going on in his head? Right now, Tyrone is basically playing a high-stakes game of poker with Carl Webster. And let's be real, Carl is a man who has absolutely nothing left to lose and a whole lot of spite to go around. It is honestly stressful just watching Tyrone walk down the cobbles these days, isn't it? Our resident mechanic is essentially acting as the judge, the jury, and the executioner for Summer Spellman's entire future. The psychological weight of that choice is starting to crack the very foundations of the garage. If we really look at the setup here, the writers have given us a total masterclass in what happens when loyalty is misplaced. For months, we have watched Tyrone struggle with the fallout of his own hit and run. That was an accident that left him terrified and physically broken. It was a total nightmare that changed his life forever. He spent weeks in a hospital bed wondering if he'd ever walk properly again. But you know how soaps love a full circle moment, right? The irony here is almost too much to handle. The very man who put Tyrone in that hospital bed, Carl Webster, found himself pinned under a vehicle in that exact same garage. The irony isn't just heavy, it is absolutely crushing, much like the car that slipped off that jack. When you look at it from a critical perspective, Tyrone's decision to go to the garage that night wasn't even about revenge. At least, that is what he is telling himself. He says it was about this desperate, almost pathologically selfless need to protect Kevin Webster. He wanted to catch Carl tampering with the brakes on camera. He wanted to finally prove once and for all what kind of man Carl really is. He wanted to be the hero who saved his best friend from a potential car crash. But in my opinion, Tyrone's hero complex is exactly what led to this total disaster. He is a mechanic, not a private investigator. His interference turned a potential legal win into a physical catastrophe. When that jack slipped and the car dropped, Tyrone's identity as the good guy shattered instantly. He didn't see a criminal getting what he deserved. In that moment, he saw a mirror of his own trauma, and his first instinct was to run. Why did he act this way? If we look at the psychology, we are watching a man whose brain is fighting itself. He truly believes he is a moral person. Yet, he has committed an act that resulted in a serious injury and then followed it up with a criminal cover-up. To admit the truth now would be to kill the version of himself that Fizz and the girls love so much. Internally, Tyrone has to be drowning in a sea of what-ifs. Every time he looks at Summer's empty chair or hears about her struggling in prison, that guilt must feel like another ton of steel pressing down on his chest. I want to offer you a different angle here. Is Tyrone subconsciously punishing Summer? Think about it for a minute. Summer represents the innocence he has lost. By refusing to give her an alibi, he isn't just protecting himself from the garage fallout. He is projecting his own need for a guilty party onto her so he doesn't have to be the one in the frame. It is a cowardly, visceral reaction to a situation where there are simply no winners. I have to say, I disagree entirely with Ronnie's advice to stay strong. Ronnie isn't being a mentor here. He is an enabler of a moral rot that is going to eventually take down the whole Webster empire. Ronnie's involvement is so interesting because he thinks he's protecting Tyrone, but he's really just digging a deeper hole for both of them. And then you have the predator in the room, Carl Webster. Carl is many things. He's a thief, a liar, and a total manipulator. But he is also incredibly perceptive. When he corners Tyrone in the Rovers, he isn't just looking for a confession. He is performing a psychological autopsy on Tyrone's fear.
He sees the sweat.
He sees the darting eyes. He sees the way Tyrone can't quite hold a gaze over his pint. For a man like Carl, a secret isn't a burden. It is currency. He doesn't even necessarily need to know exactly what happened to use it as leverage. Tyrone is currently a walking ATM for a man who loves to exploit people. The emotional insight here is honestly chilling. Carl actually seems to enjoy the power dynamic. He has been the villain for so long that seeing the neighborhood favorite squirm gives him a sense of balance. In my opinion, Carl is going to push Tyrone until he snaps, and the resulting explosion will be the highlight of the season. We also have to look at Summer Spellman, because she is the true victim in this mess. She is sitting in a cell facing a trial for a murder she didn't commit. She is actually considering a manslaughter plea just to end the nightmare. This is where the story moves from a secret to a full-blown tragedy. Tyrone saw her that night. He saw Theo alive at the window after she left. Every single day, he remains silent. He is actively stealing years of that young girl's life. This shows a massive shift in Tyrone's character. He's moving from being a bumbling mechanic to a complicit accessory. The psychological layer here is pure survival instinct. He knows that if he tells the truth about Summer, the police will ask why he was there in the first place. They will find the video of him filming Carl. They will find the connection to the car accident. And because Carl was the one who ran Tyrone over last year, the police will see a crystal clear motive for revenge. Tyrone is trapped in a logical loop of his own making. I believe his fear of being seen as a villain is currently stronger than his desire to be a hero for Summer. It is such a sad turn for a character we have rooted for since he was just a kid himself. But it gets even worse. Summer reaches a desperate low next week. She is pushed to her breaking point. The reality of life behind bars is just too much. She has been charged with killing Theo, and even though she keeps saying she's innocent, the evidence is stacked against her. Her brooch was found in the flat with Theo's blood on it. George placed her near the scene. Her trying to leave for America made her look guilty as sin. Todd gets a call that she's been admitted to hospital. Can you imagine the horror? Summer admits she deliberately switched off her insulin pump because she couldn't cope. She literally tried to end it all just to get out of that cell. Todd is horrified. And when he shares this news in the Rovers, imagine how Tyrone feels listening to that. The guilt must be eating him alive. He knows he could end her ordeal right now. He knows she didn't do it. Finally, the pressure becomes too much. Tyrone breaks down. He tells Fizz everything. He admits his statement to the police was a lie. He tells her he caught Carl tampering with the brakes and filmed it. But then he tells her about the jack. He tells her he accidentally knocked it and caused the car to fall. He admits he fled the scene and let Ronnie handle it. Fizz's reaction is going to be everything. She orders him to hand over the phone. She sees the footage. Now she holds the power. What is she going to do with it? Will she save Summer, or will she protect her husband? It's a choice that could destroy their family forever. While all this is happening, you can't ignore the parallel drama with Daniel Osborne. While Tyrone is hiding the truth, Jody is actively manufacturing lies as the truth teller. It is a fascinating commentary on the nature of information on the street. Daniel is being destroyed by someone pretending to be his friend, much like Summer is being destroyed by someone she views as a friendly neighbor. Daniel feels isolated because the truth is being twisted. Summer is isolated because the truth is being buried. In my view, the truth teller storyline acts as a perfect mirror for Tyrone's conscience. Every time a post goes up destroying Daniel, Tyrone should feel the sting of what his own silence is doing to Summer. It is a thematic masterpiece that shows how secrets, whether they are active lies or passive silences, have the exact same destructive power. Then there is the whole situation with Todd's missing phone. This is a brilliant piece of plotting because it brings the dodgy dealings of the younger generation directly into the murder investigation. Brody Michaelis, who has been working for Carl, got his fingerprints on that phone. That is the catalyst that could blow everything wide open. The phone is the physical manifestation of all the chaos from that night. It is a bridge between the murder of Theo and the car thefts Carl has been orchestrating. The psychological layer for Brody is pure panic. He is just a kid way out of his depth. He's being used as a shield by a man who views him as totally expendable. I predict that Brody's arrest is the first domino in this whole setup. Once he starts talking to save his own skin, Carl's house of cards is going to start to wobble. And let's be real, if Carl goes down, he is taking Tyrone with him. He won't hesitate for a second. The emotional toll on these families is getting harder to watch. Tyrone is keeping this massive secret from Fizz, and meanwhile, Daniel is letting his life spiral so badly that Bertie was nearly killed in a kitchen fire. What we are seeing is the total breakdown of the Weatherfield dad. These men are so consumed by their secrets and their failures that they are neglecting the very people they claim to be protecting. Psychologically, Tyrone's silence is creating a barrier between him and Fizz that she can definitely sense, even if she can't put a name to it yet. She knows her husband, and she knows he's acting out of sorts. The tension in that house must be suffocating. I honestly think the most heartbreaking part of the story isn't the legal drama, but the eventual moment Fizz realizes the man she loves let a girl go to prison to save his own reputation. That is not something you just fix with a cup of tea and a quick apology. Next week, the pressure cooker finally whistles when Carl approaches Tyrone and the Rovers. The dialogue is just dripping with malice. When Carl tells Tyrone, he can see the fear in his eyes. It isn't just a threat. It is an invitation to a dance with the devil. Carl knows he has the upper hand because he doesn't have a conscience to hold him back. Tyrone, on the other hand, is being weighed down by nearly 30 years of being the good guy. This is the moment Tyrone has to decide who he really is. Is he the man who stands up for what's right, or is he the man who hides in the shadows? My opinion is that Tyrone is going to double down on the lie. His fear of Carl is palpable, but his fear of the police is even greater. He is stuck in a no-win scenario, and the more he wriggles, the tighter the net gets. Looking ahead, we know there is a massive crossover event coming called Coronation. It involves a multi-vehicle crash, and many of our favorites are going to be right in the middle of it. I am predicting right now that the truth about the garage doesn't come out in a quiet conversation. It comes out in the middle of that wreckage. Carl is already planning to flee to Germany, but I don't think he's going to make it. The crash will act as a final reckoning for all these secrets. Tyrone will be faced with a choice in the middle of that disaster: save himself, or finally speak the truth to save someone else. The physical crash is just a metaphor for the collision of all these lies: the stolen cars, the murder, the car crush, and the truth-teller drama. It is going to be a literal and figurative train wreck. This brings us to a really tough question. Is Tyrone actually irredeemable now? Some fans online are already calling for his head. They are saying he is worse than Carl because he is a hypocrite. I don't think he is worse than Carl, but I do think he has crossed a line that changes his character forever. Psychologically, he is experiencing a moral injury. This isn't just simple guilt. It is the damage done to your soul when you act against your own deepest values. The only way for Tyrone to heal is to confess, but the cost of that confession is his freedom and his family. It is like a Shakespearean tragedy played out in a backstreet garage in Manchester. The emotional insight here is that Tyrone is already in a prison of his own making. It just doesn't have bars on it yet. The fans are already starting to piece it all together. They have figured out that the missing phone is the key. They see the connections that the police haven't quite made yet. They know that Brody's involvement with the phone leads back to Carl, and Carl's involvement with the garage leads back to Tyrone. The audience is basically playing the role of the detective while the characters play the role of the fugitives. It creates this fascinating dynamic where we are rooting for the truth to come out even though we know it will destroy the characters we love. The real truth teller isn't a social media account. It is the trail of evidence these characters are leaving behind in their panic. From fingerprints on phones to panicked looks in the Rovers, the truth is already out there. It just needs someone to put the puzzle together. While the focus is on Tyrone, we can't forget that Carl's clock is definitely ticking. The writing is on the wall for his character. But how does he actually go down? Some fans hope it is Evelyn Plummer and her law studies that do him in. Imagine that. Evelyn being the one to finally lock him up. Or maybe it is DS Kit Green, who might be even sharper and more bent than Carl himself. I predict that Kit Green will be the one to finally crack the case. He has the resources and the lack of ethics needed to fight fire with fire. If Kit figures out that Carl was behind Tyrone's accident and that Tyrone is now covering for Carl's injury, he has the perfect leverage to bring both of them down. It is a high-stakes game of chess, and Carl is about to find himself in checkmate. But will Tyrone be the pawn that gets sacrificed in the process? Even the small details, like Daniel's world's best teacher mug being smashed, serve as a huge metaphor for this entire saga. Everything that these characters have built, their reputations, their families, their sense of self, is being smashed into pieces. Daniel's breakdown over a broken mug isn't just about the ceramic. It is about the loss of the only thing that made him feel like a good person. Tyrone is in the exact same boat. He is looking at his life through the lens of that smashed mug. He can try to glue the pieces back together, but the cracks are always going to be visible. The emotional insight here is that you can't unsee the truth once it is revealed. Once Fizz knows, once Kevin knows, once the whole street knows, there is no going back to the way things were. What do you think about Tyrone's decision to stay silent? Is he a victim of a terrible situation, or has he officially become a villain in his own right? And let's talk about Summer. Should she really plead guilty to manslaughter just to get it over with? Or should she keep fighting, even if it means staying in prison longer? The drama on Coronation Street is reaching a fever pitch, and you definitely do not want to miss what happens next as we head toward the Coral disaster. The situation with Sam is also getting incredibly dark. He is having visions of Roy, but not the Roy we know. This version is cold and forceful. It is telling Sam to take matters into his own hands with Will. Sam locks himself in the cafe, and Nick is terrified because Sam has never been dangerous before. This psychological break is just one more sign of how much pressure the residents are under. When Carla sees him, she fears it's psychosis. It's a heavy, emotional storyline that shows how the trauma on the street is affecting even the youngest residents. Can Sam get the help he needs before he does something he can't take back? And we can't forget Gary Windass. He is back in the spotlight too. Kid is quizzing him about Todd's phone. Gary says he doesn't know anything, but we know better. Maria is struggling too. She gave him a false alibi, and now she has to go over her statement again. Will she stick to the lie? Or is the pressure of the investigation going to break her too? Everywhere you look, people are lying to protect the ones they love. But as we're seeing with Tyrone, those lies eventually become a weight that is too heavy to carry. The funny thing is, while all this life-shattering drama is happening, Debbie's friends are planning a getaway to Spain. It's such a classic Corey contrast. On one side of the street, people are facing prison and psychological breakdowns. On the other, they're talking about holidays. It reminds us that life goes on, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. But for Tyrone and Carl, there is no holiday on the horizon. There is only the coming crash. As Tyrone faces Carl in the garage, the tension is going to be through the roof. Carl remembers being there. He remembers the accident. He is closing in on the truth, and Tyrone is running out of places to hide. When the truth finally comes out, will anyone on the street ever be able to trust Tyrone again? He's been the heart of the community for so long. To see him fall like this is heartbreaking. But maybe it's the wake-up call he needs. Maybe he needs to lose everything to find himself again. What is your take on Fizz's role in all of this? She's always been the strong one, the one who keeps the family together. But by holding onto that phone, she's making herself part of the crime. Is she just as guilty as Tyrone now? It's a debate that is splitting the fandom. Some say she's just being a loyal wife. Others say she's abandoned her morals. Either way, the Dobbs family is in for a rough ride. The countdown to the Coral disaster has officially begun. It's going to be one of the biggest events in the show's history. And with Tyrone and Carl at the center of it, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will they both survive? And if they do, what kind of life will they have left? The secrets are coming out, whether they like it or not. The truth has a way of finding its way to the surface, especially in Weatherfield. So, if you enjoyed this deep dive into the psychological wreckage of the Cobbles, make sure you do all the YouTube things. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, leave your theories in the comments. I read every single one, and I love hearing what you think is going to happen. Do you think Tyrone will finally do the right thing? Or is he too far gone? Let's talk about it down below. The road to the crash is going to be wild, and I'll be here to break down every single moment. Stay tuned because things are about to get very, very messy. Think about the impact on Kevin too. Tyrone is like a son to him. If Kevin finds out that Tyrone was filming Carl while he tampered with his brakes and then let Carl be crushed, it's going to destroy him. Kevin has been through so much, and this betrayal might be the thing that finally breaks him. The ripple effect of Tyrone's silence is going to hit everyone he cares about. It's not just about Summer. It's about the whole web of relationships that holds the street together. And what about Kit Green? He is such a wild card. He's suspicious of everyone, and he's not afraid to play dirty to get what he wants. If he gets his hands on that phone before Fizz can do anything with it, Tyrone is in massive trouble. Kid is the kind of guy who would use that footage to blackmail Tyrone himself. We could be looking at a situation where Tyrone is being squeezed from both sides, by Carl and by the police. It's a nightmare scenario, and I don't see an easy way out for him. The writers are really putting us through the emotions